Hello and welcome to our tutorial on how Sage BusinessWorks calculates the federal withholding using the revised Form W-4s for 2020. In order for Sage BusinessWorks to calculate the federal withholding for the tax year 2020, you must first install Sage BusinessWorks version 2020 or later. There are no tax table updates for the Sage BusinessWorks version 2019 or earlier for the tax year 2020. Employees hired prior to January 1, 2020 do not need to fill out a newly revised W-4 form unless they have a life change or need to revise the amount of income tax withholding. All new employees hired after January 1, 2020 will need to fill out the newly revised W-4 form for 2020. Sage BusinessWorks calculates the taxes using the percentage method tables for the annual payroll. The tax tables in Sage BusinessWorks under Payroll, Taxes, Maintain Tax Tables for U.S. uses the 2020 standard withholding rate schedules for employees that are using the Form W-4 from 2019 or earlier, or if the Form W-4 is from 2020 or later and the box in Step 2 of the Form W-4 is not checked. Employees who use the Form W-4 from 2020 or later and the box in Step 2 is checked will be using a hidden tax table within the Sage BusinessWorks product to calculate the federal income tax withholding. The federal income tax will calculate based on the selections of the W-4. Basically, the filing status selected if they're married or single, head of household. If the box is checked in Step 2 of the Form W-4 for 2020. Any amounts that are entered in Step 3 of the Form W-4 for 2020. Also, any amounts that may be entered in Step 4A, B, or C from the 2020 Form W-4. If using W-4 form from 2019 or earlier, it will be using the personal exemptions or allowances that were previously selected. I want to now do a quick demonstration on how Sage BusinessWorks calculates the federal income tax withholding based on the way the employee has filled out the Form W-4 for the year 2020. Let's take a look at our first example. In this one, our employee has filled out the W-4 form from 2020 and the box in Step 2 is not checked. The employee is married. They have entered $4,000 in box 3. There are no amounts in boxes 4A or 4B. The employee has entered $100 of extra withholding in the box 4C. Our employee is paid weekly of 40 hours at $45 an hour. The employee also has a 401k pre-tax deduction at 5% of the gross. This is how our employee would be set up in Sage BusinessWorks under Maintain Employee Status. They are married. The W-4 for 2020 box is checked. We do not have a check mark in the 2C checkbox because our employee did not check that. Our employee did enter $4,000 for the dependents in box 3. There is nothing entered for 4A or 4B. And they have entered $100 in box 4C of extra withholding. In the pay info, we have our employee set up as hourly, paid weekly at $45 an hour. This employee has a 401k active deduction. It is a pre-tax deduction at 5% of gross. We've entered our time card at 40 regular hours at $45 an hour for gross pay of $1,800. We're going to now calculate that time card using the payroll processing automatic payroll calculation. Let's preview the payroll register to see what tax BusinessWorks calculated. So we show here that our BusinessWorks calculated $163.45 in federal withholding tax. Using the formula, let's see how Sage BusinessWorks calculated the federal withholding tax. First, let's determine the taxable wages. Our employee received $1,800 in gross wages. They also had a 401k pre-tax deduction of $90. The $1,800 minus the $90 leaves us with $1,710 on this payroll check of federally taxable wages. Because we use the annual tables to calculate the tax, we have to take this $1,710 for the current payroll times the number of pay periods in a year. Our employee is paid weekly, so that would be times 52. When we take our $1,710 times the 52 weeks in a year, that leaves us with $88,920. Our employee had 0 in box 4A and 4B, so that gives us a subtotal of $88,920. Now let's take a look at the next step. The next step says, if the box in step 2 of the W-4 form is checked, we enter 0. But if the box is not checked, we enter $12,900 if the taxpayer is married filing jointly, or $8,600 otherwise. This employee is married and box 2 was not checked, so we need to deduct the $12,900. When we subtract that $12,900, we're now going to get the adjusted taxable wages. Let's do that now. We'll take the $88,920 minus the $12,900. That leaves $76,020 in adjusted taxable wages. This employee is using the form W-4 from 2020 or later, and the box in step 2 is not checked. So we're going to use the tables on the left. Our employee is married, so we're going to use the married filing jointly. Our adjusted taxable wages was $76,020. So that would fall in the $31,650 to $92,150. That means the amount over $31,650 is subject to 12% tax. If we take our $76,020 minus the $31,650, that means $44,370 is the excess wages over the $31,650. We need to now take that amount times 12%. That's $5,324.40. Looking back on our tax table, we then have to add $1,975, which is the tentative amount that we need to withhold. To the $5,324.40, we need to add the $1,975. That means the tax is $7,299.40. We then have to divide that by the number of pay periods in the year, which is 52. So we divide that amount by 52 to get 140.373. Calculating the taxes using the 2020 W-4 is just a little bit different in that the credit received for the dependents that was entered on box 3 is deducted after the original tax is calculated. In this case, we need to now go to step 3, which is if the employee's form W-4 is from 2020, we need to now enter the amount from step 3 of that form. Otherwise, we enter 0. So remember, our employee entered $4,000 in box 3. We need to now divide that by the number of pay periods in a year, or the 52 weeks. Let's bring up our calculator and take the $4,000 From the box 3, divide that by the 52 weeks, and there's a credit of $76.92. We need to now take the amount of tax that was calculated, or the $140.37, subtract the credit for the dependents, which calculated out to be $76.92, to get the amount of tax that should be withheld from this employee's check. If we take the 140.37 minus the 76.92, that is $63.45. This employee then requested an additional withholding of $100. Let's bring up our worksheet again, and we'll see that after we have taken the credits, we now have to figure the final amount to withhold. So here we enter any additional amount to withhold from the employee's Form W-4 that they entered in box 4C. Remember, our employee entered $100. Our total tax is $163.45. Let's see how this compares to the BusinessWorks calculation. And when we look at our payroll register, we can see that the amount of FWT withheld is $163.45. The last example is going to be where our employee is using the W-4 form from 2020 and the box in step 2 is checked. Our employee is married. They have entered $4,000 in box 3. There are no amounts in boxes 4A or 4B. The employee has also entered $100 of extra withholding in box 4C. The employee is paid weekly, 40 hours at $45 an hour, and the employee has a 401k pre-tax deduction at 5% of gross. So basically, this employee has set up the same as our previous example, except that box 2 has been checked. In BusinessWorks, our maintain employee status would look like this. Our employee is married. They're using the W-4 for 2020 or later. The 2C checkbox has been checked on the W-4. Box 3 has $4,000 entered. There is no amounts in 4A or 4B, and the employee has entered $100 for extra withholding in the box 4C of the Form W-4. The employee is paid weekly, hourly, at $45 per hour. The employee also has a pre-tax 401k deduction of 5% of their gross. Our time card entry will look like this. We have 40 hours entered at a rate of $45 per hour for gross wages of $1,800. We're going to use the automatic payroll calculation under Payroll Processing, Automatic Payroll Calculation to calculate the Federal Income Tax Withholding. Let's preview to take a look at the tax calculated. Let's make this a little bit bigger, and we can see $265.86 has been calculated. Using the annual tables, let's see how the tax should be calculated. The box 2 on the Form W-4 for 2020 is if you have multiple jobs or if your spouse works. So the box that it is referring to is on C, 2C. If there are only 2 jobs total, you may check this box. Do the same on the Form W-4 for the other job. This option is accurate for jobs with similar pay, otherwise more tax than necessary may be withheld. This is the example we're demonstrating now. The employee has checked this box. Again, our employee is similar to the last example in that they made $1,800. They had a $90 pre-tax 401k deduction, leaving $1,710 of taxable wages for federal income tax for this pay period. We take that times the number of pay periods, they're weekly, so that equals the $88,920. This employee has 0 in box 4A, 0 in box 4B, leaving a subtotal of $88,920. The married filing status, the box 2 is checked, so they do not receive the credit. Let's take a look at this worksheet once again. If the box in step 2 of the Form W-4 is checked, you enter 0. If the box is not checked, you enter $12,900 if the taxpayer is married, filing jointly, or $8,600 otherwise. Our employee has checked the box 2, so we need to enter 0. That now brings our subtotal for the adjusted taxable wages to $88,920. Let's calculate the tax. In this example, our employee is using the Form W-4 from 2020, and the box in step 2 is checked, so we need to use the withholding tables on the right. Our employee adjusted taxable wages is the $88,920. So that's going to fall in the at least $52,525 to $97,925. Need to make this just a little bit bigger. That means we need to take 22% of the amount over $52,525. Let's bring up our calculator. And let's take our $88,920 minus the $52,525. That leaves $36,395 that's subject to 22% tax. If we take that times the 22%, that's $8,006.90. Looking back at our tables, we now have to add the tentative amount to withhold of the $4,617.50. So we take the $8,690 plus the $46,1750. Let's do that now. Plus the $46,1750 is $12,624.40 in total tax. We need to divide that by the number of pay periods. There are weekly payroll, so that's 52 weeks in the year. That's $242.776, or rounded would be $242.78. The last step is the credits. Remember, in step 3, we now take the credits. Our employee on their W-4 form entered $4,000 in step 3. That's for their actual dependents. We now take that $4,000, divide that by the 52 weeks in the pay period. Let's bring up our calculator and divide the $4,000 by the 52 weeks, and we get $76.92. Let's take the $242.78 minus the $76.92 for the credit for our dependents. That leaves $165.86 in federal income tax that should be withheld from our payroll check. Remember, our employee did ask for $100 of additional withholding be withheld every payday. That would total $265.86. Let's see how that compares to the way BusinessWorks calculated. On our payroll register, we can see that BusinessWorks did calculate the exact same amount of $265.86 in federal withholding tax. The worksheet on page 5 of the publication 15T on the IRS website is a valuable resource to use when you're trying yourself to calculate the withholding. This document is located at irs.gov/pub/irs-pdf/p15t.pdf. On page 5, you'll find the worksheet that I was using to show you how BusinessWorks is calculating the federal income tax withholding. Follow this worksheet. This is for those who use the Form W-4 for 2020 or later. On page 6, you'll find the 2020 percentage method tables for the automated payroll systems. On the left, you'll use the tax tables for those using the Form W-4 for 2019 or earlier, or if the Form W-4 is 2020 or later and the box in Step 2 is not checked. If the Form W-4 is 2020 or later and that box in Step 2 is checked, you'll use the withholding tables on the right. Write down this website. I think you'll find it very useful. Remember, if you need help, subscribe to our Sage BusinessWorks community on Sage City at sagecity.com. You also can do that to get notifications when updates are available for the program. Make sure you use our Sage knowledge base at sagekb.com. This knowledge base is available 24/7, 365 days a year. It's got a lot of valuable articles in there to assist you. You can always contact us via Sage Live Chat. You can open a portal ticket from the Sage customer portal at sagekb.com. And check out the Sage BusinessWorks Anytime Learning classes on Sage University at sageu.com. This concludes our tutorial. Thank you for joining us today. Let's take a look at our first example.